over here.
Look at all those squash, how good they're growing.
We trained this vine to just keep going all the way around this. We can build hammocks that will hang from the top.
Yeah, this
Cool.
one's definitely a lot nicer than our first one.
Yeah.
What is up? We're back.
Hello.
Today with another gardening video. It's about time that we start looking after some of our squash plants in the garden.
They've been going rogue.
Yeah, they've been growing well. They look really healthy in my opinion. Tomatoes too. Tomatoes are looking great. But, you know, with the limited space we have, we can't just let them go wild. All the squash are going to vine, especially the winter squash. That's our main concern. And we did a podcast earlier in the year, on the Year of Plenty podcast, where we talked about just kind of our plans with the garden and how we want to do everything vertically since we have limited space and especially the squash. So we talked about, you know, some trellising methods, different types that you can utilize. And we were gonna do a cattle panel across our patio here, but you know, figured it wouldn't look the best and also would make the patio kind of unusable. And we decided to now go with bamboo tipi trellises, which we'll show you in just a sec here what that looks like. We already have had some set up for our tomatoes, and we did one squash already. So all the squash, the winter squash, is going to get vertically trellised. There are some benefits to doing that we talked about in the podcast too, but I think it's worth repeating here. So first of all, vertical trellising for squash is great if you don't have a lot of room, especially if you're working with grow bags like we are. So it's just, you know, it can really make it easier for you to utilize less space. And
Yeah, maximize what you've got.
yeah, that's a good way to say it. Also, you know, from the get-go, pick a squash variety that doesn't vine like crazy. We've talked about that in our planting video where we actually planted the squashes, but one of our squash, the acorn, I think only has 4 to 6 foot vines. And then the Fisher one, that one might vine a little bit more. And hopefully, you know, that'll all work out with our trellises, but I think it will.
The biggest thing that I've found, especially last year, is if you trellis or train them a little bit every day versus waiting until, you know, we did this time where they're pretty big, it's a little bit harder. So the sooner you start, the easier it's going to be to get them to go exactly where you want.
Right.
Otherwise, they're going to go wherever they want, which is everywhere. So.
Yeah, and I think it's still going to be good though. We tested it with one now and it worked great. Also, you know, if you vertically trellis squash, you're going to have more sunlight reaching every part of the plant, which is great. Especially if you want, you know, squash is one of those plants that needs a lot of sunlight. It's going to provide more airflow, which helps out with certain fungal diseases like powdery mildew, certain bugs. So it can really help prevent some of the squash vine borers. They just don't really, from the research I've done now, they don't really like all that airflow. We're lucky. We haven't had any squash vine borers, knock on wood. So we haven't had to deal with that yet too much. Beyond that, you know, it makes it easier to actually see if there are pests, in my opinion. If you like have ever seen a squash garden that's like a big plot of land where they can just vine like crazy, it's kind of tough to see where are pests starting, where are they at. If it's all vertical, you can 360 walk around it, you know, see it pretty easily. And along those lines also, it makes it easier to just watch the fruit production. And if you need to go in and manually like hand pollinate some of the flowers, which you might do this year, depending on how pollinators look out here. I haven't seen
our bees have actually been really good.
Really?
Every morning that I've gone out to water, there's been 5 to 6 bees hanging out either on the tomatoes or on one of the squash plants. So they've been pretty happy.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Which is great. Not for lack of trying, but we planted all of our herbs and they've all kind of died.
The herbs, I think just the
pollinators.
containers were maybe.
Yeah.
We were gone for a week. We're gone for a week. The containers are small. And we had friends look after watering, and it was super hot the last 2 weeks. So a lot of the herbs just kind of shot up. unfortunately, but they're still there. Like I think
Yeah.
some we're
I
still
think
be able
some
to
will
use
just
them.
replant, but
Yeah, and you know we can still utilize that bottom space on the grow bags. I haven't even had a chance to plant any radishes yet, which I think at this point I might just wait till later in the season because they like it when the radish likes it when the weather cools down a bit. And then also if you vertically trellis, you know, you don't have to worry as much about ground scavengers like mice and stuff like that, groundhogs.
yeah.
We were lucky here. I don't think we have much of that going on.
I know there is one mice somewhere.
One mice?
Yeah, one mice, one mouse. I saw him scamper by our back door the other day and I was on guard.
Ooh. Time to send out the kitty. Well,
I was ready with
the
some
kitty
traps.
probably ain't, yeah.
If I saw him again, I was going to get out my traps, but I haven't seen him again.
Maybe we can convince the neighbor kitty now that she isn't going into our grow bags anymore. Maybe she wants to hunt around the grow bags.
That would be nice.
That'd be nice. Yeah, so let's go outside. We'll show you the situation, how everything's been growing and looking, and then we'll show you how we're going to build these really simple tipi bamboo stick trellises, and hopefully it's all going to work out the way we envision it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it will.
Sweet.
All right, let's do it.
Hello, welcome to my apartment garden. Cheesy. Anyways, we've got trellised tomato plants and pepper plants. These guys are doing so good. I had to come out the other day and kind of panic put up structures because we had a really big windstorm come through. Squash plants were fine because, you know, they're on the ground. These guys, though, I had quite a few of them almost completely laying over, so they had to get a quick trellis. The peppers I secured to the side panels and then put little tension knots so that I can adjust the tightness and kind of lift them up more. This is the little squash plant that we did as a test to make sure everything would work, and now we're going to be going over here to also trellis squash.
Look at all those squash, how good they're growing.
I guess I can go through kind of what you need quickly. What you need to trellis your garden. 3 sticks of a good length, whatever you have, or bamboo. We like bamboo.
Bamboo is nice. It's lightweight, sturdy, easy to put away.
You need string. I have upholstery button string because I'm an upholsterer and I have a lot of button string. You need scissors to cut your string.
Welcome to Awkward Gardening with Lindy.
You need a hair tie because things get crazy. That's it. That's all you need. And a will to help your plants survive.
You have to carefully move this one around. It's already starting to tie together with their little tendrils that they create.
Please undo yourself. So you take your sticks and you're gonna do a little triangle in your dirt. So one towards the back. Boop. As close to the outside as you can get, as far down into the bottom as you can get.
And be careful here that you know, if you put one right next to the center of the plant, you might damage a root. So
Yeah,
stay
don't
all
do
the way
that.
on the perimeter.
I'm going as close to this outside edge here as the fabric will let me, so it's going in just like that on the inside. So I put in my second one and put in my third. Okay, as far down as you can get it and in a triangle. Okay, so next step, cut yourself a piece of string. My piece of string is this long. Yours could be that long or it could be slightly shorter because this is a little bit long.
Let me bring the camera over so we can see this up close.
Okay. Okay, so I kind of have my 2 pieces. Twist it. Okay, get your fingers through that little twist. Grab your main line, pull through. Can you see that?
Yeah, we'll show it again.
Now we have a knot that when we pull on it, pulls from the main line tight. Okay.
Do you know what that knot's called in case they want to see another video?
I don't know. You could just look up like slip knot.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
Or metal.
Ow. Oh, the other thing I forgot to mention that you might need as a supply is bibs that are really big because you can keep your roll of string in, keep your scissors in, and you don't have to keep trying to go find things because it's a pain in the butt. Okay. So I'm going to put my slip knot over the top of one of these bamboo trellis poles towards the top, about 2 inches down. Grab one more pole. I'll do this one here so you can see. Connect. Now I'm just going to wrap my long line twice around both. Okay. And now I'm gonna go from the middle all the way through to help keep it tight. Just once or twice.
Let me get another angle here for them to see.
Okay. Now once that's done, grab your third line, bring everything in together. If you need someone to help you hold it all, do that. Wrap around it all twice, at least. I'm going around all 3 of them. Now same thing, I'm going through top centers, bottom centers, pulling it tight as I go. Top center, bottom center. Just do that until it feels like it's pretty darn secure, pretty tight. That feels nice. So now take your little end line and just do 2 little simple square knots. I think everyone in the world knows how to do a square knot. You could not do the square knots and it'll still hold, which is super nice.
Or you can just be sloppy and do a bunch of freaking gnarly knots and it'd probably still work.
Don't do that. Okay, cut the tails. From our last house, we had these up. I did it the same way, and I was able to just pull the whole teepee out at the end of the year and put them directly over into my tomato patch. So I didn't have to retie these the next year, which is really nice. You can just keep the whole teepee and shove her back in there. But now I need my cameraman because this is a very big plant and I need some extra hands.
Yep. So since it's only 2 of us, camera's in a tripod right now, I'm gonna help Lindy carefully lift this plant up so it doesn't, you gotta be really careful here that you don't break anything, especially if you're this big already.
Yeah, because this one goes kind of all the way over there and then all the way back
already
into this plant.
It's probably already like 4 feet long, 3 feet. So then we're going to do one go around with the string here, and as we go up we're going to show you the exact knots that Lindy's using here. So
but to go around the base, you need to make sure you can test it. Make sure you've got plenty to go around. Have like an extra foot on each side, because the worst thing that happens is you go through, tie all your knots, and then you don't have enough string. Yeah. So we're just gonna tie our first knots.
So Lindy just connected it on one of the bamboos with a knot that creates some friction so it doesn't slip down, and now she's connecting it to the second, and then we're gonna go to the third and then back to the first one.
Yep.
So all the way around the perimeter. And as we do this, we're gonna have to hold the plant up and get under it with the string so it props it up. And hopefully this still works. But the main thing here will be to focus and make sure this doesn't break in any way. Here the next knot. I'm gonna film with my phone so we can show people.
Okay. This one I'll save for towards the top.
Okay. Yeah, that's something we didn't talk about yet. The nice thing is if you need extra support, you can tie from the top. You can tie strings down to just prop things up carefully.
I'm gonna try to explain it as best I can. So wrap her around, take your tail underneath your main line twice. Now you're going to cross it over the main line around and back under that same original line. My tail got a little short there. And if you're super worried about it coming undone, which it's, you know, you'd have to keep bouncing on it, you can just do a simple square knot. It's not gonna go anywhere. So don't keep going up. You're gonna break it. Okay, so I'm gonna go under, wrapping it around, under, twice, over, once. Okay, next one. So the reason I say this would be easier when it's younger is you could literally train this vine to just keep going all the way around this, slowly over time. So bottom twice, top once. And then we'll finish it off. I'm just doing that so that I can continue this same string.
And if you're worried about not being able to do all these knots that Lindy is doing here now, you can also drill through these and just stick the string directly through it. Right now, this is what it's looking like. We got most of it carefully. Here we just bent one a bit hard. Well, we made one mistake here. Hopefully the plant doesn't die. Good thing is this vine here is coming from a different part, and only the smaller vine would be affected here right now. So we're gonna get a big, we're not gonna push it in, we're gonna grow around it, yep. Because it doesn't matter if it hangs off a little bit, because this part we can then train to come back in.
It'll help this kind of train itself. I'm gonna start making it go around these over time, because at some point we're gonna run out of vertical space. Such is life.
We could with these. These are the Fisher squash, I believe, and these are the ones, yeah, those are the ones that vine quite a lot.
Yep. So I'm gonna just keep it, you know, just gradually every day. I'm gonna tuck a little bit more in. Once this is longer, I'll tuck it a little farther over, till we get it where it should be. We can build hammocks that will hang from the top. So if this is my fruit, right? I've got a fruit here. You tie a string up here and connect it onto your hammock with a tension knot so that you can over time lift or lower from one central point. And this will be the strongest point of the whole setup, not these. You know, these are going to be plenty for the vines, but if you get a really big fruit on there, it's going to weigh everything down quite a bit. So
right, and what's great to use for the hammocks are pantyhose.
Yeah.
Because they grow with the fruit.
I don't have any pantyhose.
We'll have to buy some cheap ones.
Okay then. That's all for this one.
Move to the next one.
Yeah. Okay. Next one. I'll show you. I think is going to be this one in the front. Reason being, it's a little bit smaller. And we can kind of show you the more ideal stage to start the trellis in order to help it train around. Okay, so I got my nice super long piece of string. I'm going to go, I'll show you kind of up here and then I'll slide it down. Going around. Okay, going to wrap it around the bottom once, twice, over the top of that line. And now the part that goes over the top of that line, you want to tuck your tail into. See that? That's gonna give you that friction knot there. I'm doing these all pretty low down to the ground, just so that, you know, I'm supporting the base of my plant as much as I can. And then I can get some of these leaves that are down here that are having some problems with the dirt. You can see how they're kind of getting gross. It's because they've been sitting in the dirt, and that's not great for them.
We'll cut them off.
Yep. But I'm gonna get as many of the healthy leaves up as I can. Okay. Nice and situated.
And this is the one that only vines about 4 to 6 feet, so it's better for the containers.
Yep.
The grow bags.
And I'm gonna go right about where this plant is, so that we can start vining it up as well. There we go. And these little guys are gonna start wrapping on around, so you might as well give them a head start. Give them something to connect to. There you go. And then, you know, I'll attach some more going through the rest of my plant here.
Yeah, this
Cool.
one's definitely a lot nicer than our first one.
Yeah, and if you started even farther down, you know, when this is down here, you can start really playing with it and making it go whatever direction you want it to. So you could have some pretty cool designs, but
Yeah.
and you can always, you know, attach something to your plant and tie it up onto these joints too. I'm not going to do that because I just don't want to have to check and see if my plants are suffocating every day.
Right. This one here we're just gonna keep tying up, and then from there we're gonna do all the other ones, some of the zucchini too. We're gonna do as many as we can. We still have plenty of bamboo sticks left, so I think we'll be able to do all of them. And yeah, we'll show you at the very end what it looks like and catch up with you then.
Yeah.
All right, we are almost done now. I just got to finish up this zucchini here. And then we'll show you how it all looks.
Hello, we're back. We've officially finished trellising the garden and are trying to cool down with some pineapple weed gummy cubes.
Forage
Yeah.
pineapple weed.
Yeah, they're
We'll
not
have
gummy
'em-
bears because they're cubes.
Yeah, we'll have a video on how to forage that on the
they're so
channel soon too.
tasty.
Might
so
already
tasty.
be up by the time you see this video.
Yeah, but we'll kind of show you around here. We can start over yonder. So we decided to go ahead and do these zucchinis just to kind of help keep these up off the dirt a little bit. And then once the fruits, we've got a big fruit here right now. Once it starts getting to where it's going to touch the bottom, I'll put something down underneath it to keep it out of the dirt. That way we can avoid rotting fruits and kind of the rotting of our labor, because that's never any fun. The ones on the other side of the garden we'll show you here in a bit. I trellised all the way up the poles. That way our other plants can actually grow up the vine, that these won't go up, because these are only going to go, you know, up to here, and then we'll have the other plant join on at the top. So the other thing I wanted to mention is that this little grow bag here looks really sad, and that's because it is really sad. We did not amend the soil in this grow bag because I wanted to see what would happen, but I did fertilize it. So this is what, and I planted it a week after the rest of my tomato plants, but this plant is shoulder height to me. Same plant stock, you know, same everything, but we amended that soil. This soil we did not. Got fertilizer, it's gotten the same amount of water, gotten really good light. The pepper plant looks pretty terrible, and the tomato plant is, you know, obviously pretty significantly stunted. So that just shows you what proper amendment of your soil looks like. Okay, so we're on the other side of our little apartment garden here. We've got these guys tied up pretty far. The nice thing about these is I can always cut this later on, move it, or slide it down, you know. It's just gonna keep helping it go up. These little, what do you call them, trendles? Right?
Tentacles? I don't
Tentacles?
even know.
Tendrils?
Tendrils.
Yeah, tendrils, right? They're gonna just keep kind of creeping up here, so it'll help support itself at some point, but for right now it's not quite at that level. This guy over here, you know, is all the way up. This main vine is already coming out to like here, so I'm gonna help kind of feed it to start going up on top of this.
Yeah, so one
trellis.
of the squash plant in the back that's vining a ton, we're moving over to the zucchini trellis. Yeah.
Yep, so eventually, you know, this plant will be on both this grow bag and on this grow bag, and this one just won't get any taller, so, or if it does, very, very minimally.
Yeah, we chose a very bushy variety for those ball zucchinis. All right, pretty good day. It was super hot out there.
Yeah, very hot.
Yeah, it's crazy how exhausting the heat can be. I don't feel, or I feel bad for all the farmers out there who are out there producing our food day after day in the full of heat.
Especially the ones in Idaho right now with all the fires going on.
Yeah.
I watched a video of this guy harvesting his wheat with a fire in the background. I'm just like,
Oh my God.
that sucks for many reasons.
Yeah. But, you know, as you guys saw, overall, I think it's going to work out pretty well. We should have definitely started in those Fisher squash that vine along a bit earlier, but we only damaged one a little bit, one of the vines and one of them. And the important part is I don't think we damaged anything toward the base of the plant, that main stalk, main stem. I guess we'll see. I don't think we did. It looked good to me. But super pumped to see that some of the zucchini already growing. One of the early prolific, one of the yellow squash zucchinis is already producing some fruit. So
yeah, life sometimes takes over, and your garden is just a water once a day kind of a venture, and you know, it ends up being fine.
Yeah. No, it's good. And yeah, so next up, I'm planning on fertilizing a bit. I'll probably film that, and then also we're just going to go through and cut off all those dead leaves. We already started to. And I know people who trellis zucchini, they'll like cut most of the bottom of the leaves off, you know, as it's growing up.
Grow as a tree,
Yeah, it kind of looks like a palm tree then. That's another method. I want to do a bit more research into what the benefits are there. For now, everything's producing fruit, you know. I'm sure we could be doing some things to get better fruit, one of them being fertilizing a bit more now. And I also did read, at least for the winter squash we discussed in the first or earlier video, but we kind of want to slow down a bit on the watering once those fruits are looking pretty good on the winter squash, and I guess it makes them sweeter, but we'll see. The grow bags already...
They really don't, I mean, they retain water fairly well, but when it's been this hot out with this much direct sun, by the next morning, like the top 3 inches are pretty much completely dry.
Yeah.
So what I've been doing is every other day soaking it, and then the next day, you know, it gets a nice light water. So it's not being soaked every day to where it's, you know, there's water on top of the soil. But every other day I've been doing that, and it's been working out pretty well. So.
Yeah. I love how the garden's looking so far. Honestly, way better than last year, I think. Like the squash, at least, are way more vibrant. I think a lot of it has to do with, one, how we amended the soil early, and then how much sun they've been getting.
Yeah,
that's the biggest difference.
Our last place had a lot of trees.
Yeah.
So I think if we had found some sort of a squash that was better in the shade, they might have been fine.
I don't think that's the thing, though, really. Squash are very much sun-heavy plants.
Or some sort of a food that would have been more ideal in partial shade. The problem with that place is that...
The last one now.
Our last place is that, you know, when it got sun, it was that late afternoon sun, but not really in the morning because of where we had to situate where everything was. We weren't really allowed to branch out at all. Versus this place, everything's right on the southern side. You know, it's getting sun from 8:30 in the morning until the sun goes down at night. So
Yeah.
it's all day full sun, which is
Yeah.
pretty great.
One concern I have a little bit is that as these now grow up into the teepee and it gets all pretty tight up in there, that and fruit starts to grow, that some of those vines will bend over the string and you know, get embedded or almost cut off some of those vines, the stems of the vines. We'll see though.
Maybe.
Hopefully that doesn't happen. Hopefully we can support it good enough, and I think a big part of that will just be making sure early on that that fruit is put in a hammock, like a pantyhose, like we discussed, and tied off to the top of the teepee so that most of the weight is, you know, not being supported by the string wrapping around the teepees now, but that string that we're gonna have to tie off to the directly to the fruit.
Yep.
Yeah,
Yeah.
pretty good.
Sweet.
We'll do more update videos, like I said, probably fertilizing next, and then I want to try a quick, just a worm extract, a worm casting extract. My buddy Antonin told me that that can be really beneficial, just to give it a boost of microbes in there, especially with the grow bags. You know, a lot of the nutrients and whatnot can leach out of there, so it's good to keep adding things along the way. Yeah.
Definitely.
I would think microbes and fertilizer is probably not a bad thing to do.
Yeah.
As we keep going. Cool.
Awesome.
Awesome. We're going to keep eating our pineapple gummies here, cool off a bit, and I'm going to edit some more videos for you. Thanks for watching.
Thanks.